Right, good afternoon everybody and welcome to this afternoon's Innovation Talks presented by ADF and PCD and PLD in Paris and by Packaging Innovations and Luxury Packaging in London. As I always say at the start of these, just like our face-to-face events, these online innovation talks aim to bring you packaging inspiration and new understanding of the key challenges in the market, so that you, whether you're packaging designers or suppliers, have a new and exciting opportunity to connect with each other and also to bring new innovative ideas to your future packaging projects. So for today, as the drive towards improving the sustainability performance of packaging and especially reducing single-use plastic packaging has gathered pace, one trend has started to explode, especially in recent months, and that is around reusable and refillable packaging. We all know what the trend is about, whether it's around refills in store or occasionally cartridges that go into a reusable piece of packaging that you have in the home, for instance. There are a huge number of examples out there relating to this trend. And today I'm delighted to welcome Paul Jenkins of ThePackHub, which is a consultancy in the UK that offers all sorts of information and help around packaging innovation, who's going to talk us through the reasons around this trend and give us some of the best examples happening out there at brands and retailers. So just a couple of notes before we kick off. We will be doing a Q&A session at the end of Paul's talk today. So please, on the right-hand side of your screen, feel free to join in the chat. I can see lots of people saying hi and hello and so on, and ask your questions in there. And it's great to see that interaction, so do keep it going. And secondly, you will see just above my head, there is a little bell icon. Please click that to turn off notifications, otherwise you get lots of annoying pings as people leave messages in the chat and questions. That is it from me for now. I will see you all later. And I'm now delighted to hand over to Paul, who's going to take us through what's happening in reusable and refillables. Paul, over to you.
Thank you, Josh, and team, for this fantastic opportunity to talk to you about a subject I feel quite passionate about in terms of refillable and reusable packaging. Just get this slide. Perfect. Excellent. So as Josh says, my name is Paul Jenkins. I'm Managing Director of UK Packaging Innovation Consultancy, ThePackHub. What we're going to be doing is talking through a number of different new innovations from the refillable and reusable worlds, and many of these innovations are featured in the ThePackHub's Innovation Zone packaging database, which is a really searchable and easy to use resource, and we've got over 4,000 initiatives there, and we upload about 20 a week. So that's the source of the wisdom that I'm going to be giving to you over the next 30 minutes or so. And to put things into context, the sustainability market has increased significantly, which is no surprise to anybody, over the last couple of years or so. And at ThePackHub, we've sort of segmented that sort of trend into a number of different areas around carbon footprint reduction, plastic elimination, reducing waste, compostable and biodegradable packaging, biomaterial development, recycling, and of course, reusable systems. So reusable packaging is very much one of the 7 sustainable packaging trends that we are tracking. This trend is very much of the moment. Everyone should know the sort of the reduce, reuse, recycle mantra is very much a fulcrum of that statement. And also, even in terms of things like the UK Plastic Pact, which came into being a couple of years ago, and has hundreds of brands, retailers, and packaging suppliers all committing to adhere to 100% of plastic packaging to be reusable, recyclable, or compostable. So what was happened in the last couple of years, that businesses have refocused their efforts to achieve one of those three things. Some businesses are touching compostability at all, so that leaves just reusable and recyclability as the two areas of sustainable development. And 2025, when it was announced in 2018, I think, sounded like a long way ago, but actually that's, we're halfway through 2020. That is actually not that far off at all, is it? So I really feel that this is a really big opportunity for brands and retailers and packaging suppliers really to embrace reusable and refillable examples. What I've done is we've segmented the examples from our database. We've probably about 250 that we've tracked over the last. The innovation zone's been going about 5 years, and I'd say of the 250, around 180, 190 have been developed in the last 12 months to 18 months. So we've seen a real big increase in activity. And what we've done is really sort of segmented them into 4 areas, not massively scientific here, but we've just tried to cluster them as best as we can. So what I'm going to be talking about in a moment is in-store refill systems, refillable packs, reusable packaging, and repurposed packaging. So there are 4 areas that we're talking about. So the first one is around in-store refill systems. So I've just got a few examples, some of which you would have seen. I've seen Nikki Grange's name pop up on the chat facility, so she's been fully aware of the efforts that her and her team are putting to introduce Waitrose initiative, which started in their Oxford store, must be about 18 months ago, and I think they've extended it to Cheltenham, Abingdon and Wallingford stores as well. And I took the opportunity to go down and sort of see this tour de force in terms of reusable packaging. This isn't just pasta packaging or beer reusable packaging. This is a real across the range example of a number of different packs that you can purchase using reusable containers. So a really interesting initiative, which really has sort of encouraged other retailers to see what is also possible. We're also tracking other initiatives. So this is one in Switzerland. So this is Nestlé working also on their pledge to make 100% of their packaging recyclable, reusable by 2025. The business is testing reusable and refillable dispensers as part of a wider trend that we've been discussing. It's fair to say the majority of the initiatives are small pilots. I think the Waitrose one, although it's large in its scale in store, is still only a handful of outlets. It tends to be small pilots as rather than extensive and permanent rollouts. Brands and retailers are testing consumer take-up as well as the operational logistics that go with implementing a reusable system. Nestlé has been piloting reusable and refillable in-store dispensers for their instant coffee as well as pet food in 3 Nestlé shops in Switzerland. So consumers can bring their own reusable containers to buy Purina cat food and Nescafé coffee variants. So they've been working with a Czech company called MIWA, M-I-W-A, which stands for minimal waste. The dispensers have apparently been well received by consumers during the short trial. So that's an example of a brand getting involved. Here we have UK retailer Sainsbury's also getting involved. Again, they've got they made a rather audacious pledge a while ago to reduce their plastic waste by half by 2050. So this ambition is taking a small step in the right direction. And they're working with SC Johnson on refillable detergent station for ecological detergents, cleaning and laundry products, Ecover. And what you can see that these systems can be quite high tech with sort of computer screens and ways to communicate effectively with consumers. That those screens can offer a variety of information, product information, and presumably in-store offers and things like that. So this has been tested, I think in a Haringey store in London, and then a further 19 outlets to follow, which I assume has now gone ahead. This is from L'Occitane in France. They're testing in-store refillable systems for the shower gel. So quite a different look and feel to this solution. They are encouraging consumers to embrace the reusability and maybe sort of take a bit of a hit on the inconvenience of having to fill your own packaging. The price of the bottle with the gel is the same as the conventional product, but the refill works out at around 30% cheaper than a full new bottle. They're doing a second test that would involve up to 50 outlets around the world. Next up, M&S doing a trial, which I think it's also the same unpackaged company that have done the Waitrose examples. I went to the store in Southampton, and they've got about 15 to 20 products, really easy to use. Not many people embracing it. This was just before we went into lockdowns, I think in February. There weren't that many people around the units, which was a bit of a surprise, but I bought a couple of products, and I thought it was a really engaging and intuitive system that was really easy to use. This is from Asda. Their Middleton store in Leeds will see own brand products, including coffee, rice and pasta, offered to shoppers in refill formats. So I don't want to keep going over the same thing, but you hopefully get the idea about this type of format. So that's Asda doing some good work on that scheme. Just going to gloss over on because that's a New Zealand store that's doing a similar thing. Conscious of repeating myself here. When you've seen one, you've seen a few of these. This is from Body Shop, which has over 3,000 stores in 60 countries. And this really is almost a nod to the past when consumers used to have refillable products in their stores. So the chain did previously scrap a similar refillable scheme 2 decades ago due to lack of shopper demand and a little bit of confusion on how it works. And it's quite interesting that there seems to be some shopper demand for these type of products now that there wasn't a couple of decades ago. So that's quite an interesting change in shopper sort of sections of sustainability. Moving on to sort of packaging systems rather than whole units. This is from French luxury perfumes and cosmetics brand, and what you've got here is a specific pack that is refilled using a unit. There's 200 refill stations at selected stores across the UK and Ireland. Consumers just need to take their empty bottle into one of the stores and refill their bottle at a discounted price savings. Actually dispense the product. It sort of goes from the bottom into the bespoke refilling system. And the last one here, moving around the world. So this is Gramo, which we featured 2 or 3 times in the Innovation Zone in the past. And they're bringing refillable vending machines not to outlets or retail outlets, but to communities. So this is taking place in Santiago in Chile. They've got a mobile refill unit. Customers bring a reusable plastic bottle back to a vending machine that travels around offering refills. An RFID code on the bottle gives discounts on future purchases as a way to lock in consumers and correct the habits of refillable behaviour. Of course, that RFID information is critical for brand owners in terms of understanding and mapping consumer behaviour. Brands aren't paying for added packaging, which reflects in the detergent being sold for up to 30% less than when it's available in store. Okay, the second area is around reusable packaging. And for anyone that has read the mainstream UK press or has been on LinkedIn in the last 24 hours, can't have escaped to see the TerraCycle Loop online refillable container scheme being launched in Tesco in the UK. Tesco's trialling the scheme where online shoppers can get products across 150 different items which are delivered in reusable containers for which consumers pay a deposit. I was very intrigued. It only came out yesterday, so I thought I'd register and was surprised and amazed that they accepted deliveries in my area. So I was last night on my phone ordering 4 or 5 reusable items to trial. So I'll be looking forward to getting those delivered, I think, by the end of the week. So a very well implemented scheme. I know that they were delayed because of COVID-19. I think the launch was due 2 or 3 months ago, but obviously they couldn't during a lockdown go ahead at that time. So a really good scheme. What I haven't explained is what happens is essentially people order products online, they get a reusable container, they consume the product, and then leave the containers out to be collected, and they get washed and cleaned and reused for the next person. So I think a small deposit to sort of as a guarantee, really, that for the packaging. The loop's been started in the United States and France in small pilots in New York and Paris, I think, but the expansion, which has been hindered recently by COVID-19, is moving to other international markets, including obviously the UK. I think they're planning Canada, Germany, Japan, and Australia. Is this the future? Is this how we'll all be consuming products in the future? Reusable packaging in this sort of milk delivery type thinking. Other reusable packaging examples, this is from Grainer Packaging. The Austrian multinational supplier has introduced some reusable lids for yogurt cups. The new lids are manufactured using injection moulding and able to provide a secure seal for the product after it's been opened to help extend shelf life. The use of single-use lids can create a lot of waste, as everyone knows, as not all can or will be recycled. So this lid has a 95mm diameter that fits the majority of yogurt cups on the market. So that's an interesting innovation from Austria. This is a reusable egg carton that I think is available in the Canadian market. Not the best picture. I did try again to get some better imagery, but people buy your eggs as normal and then consume them, and then you're able to take back the egg carton to be reused again. Obviously, food contact ensures that the product needs to be cleaned and safe for reuse. But you know, egg cartons are recyclable. But it's if you think about the 3 priorities, reuse goes before recyclability. So that's an interesting innovation from a business in North America. Other areas that are using reusable packaging, reusable coffee pods. The coffee pod market has grown significantly. It's growing 7% at the moment, which is 7.1%, which is significantly higher than other consumer good products. The industry has sustainability challenges in terms of recyclability. So, you know, businesses are coming along and offering reusable alternatives. So this is one of those such examples, and this is from Australia. Now, if I had to give sort of the biggest product category that uses reusable packaging, I guess the water bottle market would be the one to hold up. Obviously, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen a significant increase in the usage of reusable water bottles. The beverage bottle has been designed to make handling easier, as well as possibly impact on the environment. This is called Difold, and what's interesting about this is that it's a foldable, reusable, and recyclable sort of origami pack. It incorporates a collapsible design that is compact and folded and stable and rigid when in use. The technology is claimed to reduce the amount of empty containers up to 90%. It's got a patent pending folding technology that ensures the bottle, when folded, can easily fit inside a pocket or bag. And they've done some sort of number crunching on that, and they claim that the bottle can be used. This bottle can be used for 5 years of intensive usage, and it is estimated that 30,000 regularly used reusable bottles can save the equivalent use of 82 million PET bottles in 5 years. Oops. I seem to have lost a slide which was looking at reusable straw. The plastic straws, in terms of single use, has been really under a lot of pressure over the last couple of years, bans in many markets. So lots of businesses have come along with reusable examples, and I could have shown you probably 10 or 12, maybe 15 different reusable straw examples made of aluminium, bamboo, and things like that. Thought this was an interesting one, which is a reusable straw that is easier to clean, so the consumers can open it up to access this straw. And the last one in this selection just came to our attention recently. I mentioned water bottles. I quite like innovations that sort of have a dual purpose. So this is called the pill bottle PB55, and it combines a water carrier with a daily pill organiser. Water is often needed to take daily vitamins or pills. This sort of daily organiser sort of sits within an integral part of the bottle. It's like questions about child resistance and potentially those pills getting in the wrong hands. And of course, you don't have proper instructions in terms of how many, you don't have the existing pill packaging to hand to know how many pills to take and things like that. But apart from some major health and safety issues, it's still quite an innovative pack that I thought was worthy of showing you. Now, the third area is around refillable packs. So there's a little bit of repetition here, but I just wanted to show you some of the examples that we're seeing. You will remember that refillable packs really came to sort of our attention 10, 15 years ago. I think Nescafé tried to sort of migrate people from using single-use glass jars into the sort of refillable format. And it kind of, consumers really didn't embrace the idea at the time, but I think over the last 18 months or so, shoppers' opinions on these type of products has changed. So this is a refillable, this is available in 17 stores, eco-fill refill packs to promote recycling. The packaging incorporates 73% recycled materials and a wrap that uses up to 90% less plastic than the original packaging. The scheme has already registered a saving of 124 tonnes of material by switching to this sort of format. Another one of a similar ilk. So this is for German discount retailer Aldi for the Spanish market. The new refill packs reportedly have 70% less plastic than conventional containers. The pack format of 30 washes and is much more compact than a 3 litre bottle that it replaces. The use of the Aldi refill container not only has environmental advantages, but it also contributes to customer savings with a 10% price per litre reduction. Whether these price reductions are a temporary measure to sort of influence and change consumer behaviour, or whether they will be a permanent reward for being more environmentally friendly, remains to be seen. Now, this is a refill pack from Carex. Again, very similar thing, but they're very keen. You look at the messaging here. A quarter of that refill pack is giving consumers sort of packaging messages about the sustainability of the pack, with good iconography and the fact that it uses 75% less plastic. They've actually put the existing pack that is to be refilled on the packaging, just to make it very clear as to what needs to be done. So that came out last year from PZ Cousins. And the last one in this, the penultimate one in this section, we see lots of food and beverage reusable packaging, but I just thought I'd show you another one from another sector. So this is from cycle maintenance manufacturer Welltight. So they're using an aluminium recyclable bottle with refills. And the last one in this section, this is reusable rather than refillable because the intention isn't that consumers will refill necessarily with gin. So they're really adding value here. This is Cantium. This is a UK gin brand. Cantium wanted to reduce single-use packaging to create a more sustainable bottle that also looked attractive and eye-catching. So the bottle used here can be used for either hot or cold drinks long after the gin is finished. This is a small brand. They're not expecting consumers to fill up again with their own Cantium gin product, but what they're really offering is an alternative product that can be used again and again. The brand, the gin has a recommended price of £38 per 50 cl bottles, so there is quite a lot of room in the margin to be offering a nice permanent reusable bottle. And the last section, I just thought I'd throw in 3 or 4 repurposed solutions. We don't see as many here as in the other 3 sectors. But this got a lot of attention in the sort of packaging press about 6 months ago. So this is from Samsung. They've introduced a new pack for its lifestyle television collections to promote more sustainable packaging. What they're essentially asking consumers to do is to create their own packs post-use. So they've got a dot matrix design that is used on each side of the cardboard boxes, allowing customers to reuse the boxes again to make a host of imaginative executions such as cat houses, magazine racks and furniture. And if you go on Twitter or Instagram and use their hashtag, you can see lots of examples of consumers already attempting to do exactly that. There's a competition as well for the best answer or best solution. So quite a good way of sort of giving packaging an end of life additional usage before it's recycled, but also good at creating some decent PR as well. Another example of a similar ilk, so this is a pet food brand that transforms into toys post-use. Doesn't need much more explanation than that. I thought I'd throw this one in. This is quite an interesting one, and this potentially is more to do with creating a bit of PR than anything necessarily amazingly practical. So this is KFC in the Middle East, and they created a bit of a stir with an innovative way to present their customers with serviettes. Not only adds convenience, but also cuts down on packaging materials. Now, bear in mind, this is before COVID-19 break. I don't think they'd be doing this in the current situation. The restaurant chain is turning their customers' receipts into functional serviettes so they can eat free of hassle. Then napkinized serviettes help customers easily clean themselves up after eating their favourite fried chicken meal. So if you wanted to, if you're the type of person that stores your receipts away for the accountant, then that's not going to work because they would be all smudged and well. But quite a nice idea, really creating more sort of a PR and social media storm than anything majorly practical. I thought I'd throw that in as a workable example. Last but not least, we seem to get a lot of examples from the pizza packaging sector. They're quite an innovative bunch. We see lots of different examples using pack structure. And this is just another example during, I think it was the FIFA World Cup last year. Pizza Hut working with DS Smith on a Pizza Hut football for the Portugal market. 100% recyclable special edition boxes have a built-in puzzle rule on detachable covers. The consumers need to buy 2 pizzas to then construct their own paper ball. So a bit of fun and some consumer engagement. So there we have it. There are the 4 sort of reusable packaging examples that I wanted to share with you. And I'll be delighted to answer any questions that Josh may have from you.
Paul, thank you so much. It's fantastic to have that sort of level of overview and to see how much is happening in the market. So thank you very much for that. And I appreciate we've had some comments that there's been a bit of a challenge with the sound. Just apologies to all of us, to all of you. We're live on stage, so the show must go on. but I think we're okay. Now, Paul, thank you. Some of the questions inevitably coming from the audience, and there have been a lot of them, so thank you. Inevitably are talking about COVID-19 and really what impact. There are lots of directions that this can go in, but overall, what impact would you say the coronavirus difficulties that we're all facing, what impact have they had on the questions around reuse and refill?
Well, I think this is sort of multifaceted. I think when we first went into lockdown, the impact was significant. You had, in many markets, reusable bags being banned, particularly in sort of North America. So when you think about that, there are, consumers over the last 2 or 3 years have got used to a change in behaviour where they're bringing their own bags in store. And now they're being forced to go back to buying single-use bags. And I think some supermarkets are still not offering reusable bags because of fears of sort of COVID-19 contamination. I guess another big area is around reusable bottles as well. Starbucks and the like, before they went into lockdown or closed, were not allowing people to bring in their own reusable bottles. So, there are examples where this has had a big impact on things. I did get the opportunity to speak to Catherine Conway, who's the founder of Unpacked, who are behind the Waitrose installations in their 4 stores. And she was quite upbeat and quite sort of positive about the long-term future of her business and reusable packaging. You just need to put special measures in place. I mean, these units are going to be used many times in a single day by consumers. It's going to be handled a number of times. So they just need to put systems in place, like for other parts of the store, where things are cleaned and made sure that they're hygienic. And I did just recently, and this morning, about fruit and veg sales of loose sales were down last month, 8-9%, because shoppers have got fears of contamination. So I think in the short to medium term, COVID-19, like for all businesses, all sectors, all industries, is having an impact. The longer term impact hopefully will be minimal. I think we're all slightly more concerned about hygiene going forward. People don't want to shake hands. We're concerned about people being too close to us. And maybe there's a hang-up post-COVID-19 when this horrible pandemic eventually goes forever. Will we still be a little bit more cautious about touching things that other people have touched? And that I don't know. I have no crystal ball. I can't predict that. But maybe there might be a little bit of a hang-up. But a long-winded answer is that I think in the long term, I think the growth of refillable and reusable packaging will continue.
And who do you think is best placed to drive that? Because we have seen different examples, sometimes driven by the retailers, sometimes driven by the brands. But the brands, with the exception of Loop, the brands have a challenge that it's harder to control the route to market, I would suggest. So I wonder what your perception is of who is in the best position to make this change happen.
I think everyone plays a part. I mean, retailers, I guess, are in the front seat because they control the point of sale areas, and they really determine what can happen in store and when. I guess it's their role really to work with brand partners to bring to market new examples. I think there's a big opportunity for brands also to play in this space. If you think about Nestle, and there's some other brands that have brought their own units into stores, they've got an opportunity to bring something experiential to consumers, to bring the brand to life, to engage, and also sort of, offer something that is a real point of difference in store. Brands have worked hard over the years to get noticed in retail environment, and this is a good opportunity for them. And I guess if you're using reusable packaging, you've then got that opportunity to lock people in for the longer term. I've embraced this look scheme, which I mentioned at the beginning. I've bought 4 or 5 products that I'm going to try, and I will be locked into those products for as long as I'm happy with the scheme. I mean, so ketchup and Coca-Cola and 2 other brands that I've bought, they've got me locked in for 6-12 months now. So there was quite an important area. And finally, in terms of stakeholders in all of this, packaging suppliers also have a role. I mentioned DS Smith, but everyone has a way to ensure that they also help the brands and retailers bring their packaging to market.
But surely there must be a challenge for the packaging suppliers in here, because ultimately the end game is to try and remove a certain amount of packaging from the system. So it seems to me that there must be some head scratching going on that side as well.
Yes, and I guess each individual business needs to assess, in this new world, what the opportunities are for their business, and to reevaluate and represent their products in a different and differentiated way. Things move on. The technologies change, consumers' demands evolve, and businesses need to change and adapt accordingly. We are still talking about relatively small sector of the market. We're talking handfuls of stores embracing reusable packaging. Even in the, say, for example, the 4 Waitrose outlets that they're testing here, they've got lots of examples in store, but there's still lots of packaging that you can buy that is single use. So even in those stores where it's being used, it's still not 100% being embraced. So we've got lots of challenges. When I went to the Waitrose store to try it, one of the things that I was taking out with my consumer head on is, how long will this take me on an ongoing basis? A once-a-week shop, having to make sure I've got 40 empty jars in my car that I then take into the store and methodically dispense into each item. There's only certain types of consumers at the moment that would be sufficiently motivated, I would imagine, to go through that lack of convenience for the want of saving the world. Many people, we've got convenient packaging because people are lazy and people just want things being cheap. So there's that friction, there's that sort of thing to assess. So then we're very small scale at the moment. So package suppliers don't need to worry that their sales are going to fall off the cliff just yet. Good.
That keeps us all in. It keeps paying our rent. Now, you made an interesting point there that it remains a small part of the market, and it's perfectly true. If you look around where I live in France, it tends to be the organic supermarkets and quite high-end, quite expensive supermarkets that are doing it. I remember when I was growing up, the place that you would go for this sort of for a sort of packaging-free experience or refillable would be Weigh and Save. I don't know how many of our audience today remember Weigh and Save as a chain where you go and take your box and fill it up with cereal and take it home again, and that was quite a cheap, low-end sort of option. But I wonder, and I don't know if you have a view on how mainstream these sorts of solutions are going to get.
Yeah, I think there's a mix. You can have, economy outlets offering sort of discounted reusable and refillable solutions. And I gave some examples where you can get a price off the packaging of the product. The other side is, I was looking through the Loop website last night, and I was a little bit surprised just how expensive a lot of the products are. You're buying really nice sort of reusable packaging. Some of the sort of, it's early days, so they've only got a limited amount at the moment. So, some of the biscuits and sweets and things like that were £6 or £7 a go. And I'm thinking, that's quite expensive for a mass market, potentially mass market offering. So maybe there is a little bit of, that's not the right thing to say, but that's buying biscuits for £7 a tin is not for everybody. I mean, as a small section of society. But having said that, I've mentioned examples where you can buy economy. So, bit of everything, really.
Yeah, okay. Paul, my last question, because we're running out of time. Now, you spend your life looking at packaging innovations, surveying what's happening in the market. In this sector, is there one solution that you have seen or one particular bit of the reuse and refill area that you would say, yes, that's the thing that's going to change the market? Could you pick out one?
I think the Loop scheme has the opportunity to do that, and the reason for that is that it's getting scale, it's getting buy-in, they're testing in different markets around the world, and some significant brands are playing in that space. So they've got the know-how and the budgets to make it happen. And there's a really professional team behind it all. And I was so impressed with the website working on the first day of the launch. You don't expect, half the time you don't expect that kind of level of professionalism. So I was impressed with it. I think something like Loop could be an answer to getting rid of single-use packaging. But it's hard to imagine it being the dominant way to buy products, because people still want to shop in store, but that if you have to give one example, it would have to be that one.
Okay. So Loop, and it's true that Loop comes up very, very regularly as what feels at the moment like it's going to be a game changer. But let's see. The other side of me thinks, I grew up just like everybody else in the UK, receiving milk on our doorstep every morning, and I find it really interesting because in some ways it's the future, but it's also very old-fashioned. And yes, that's the way these things work. But listen, Paul, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your expertise, your case studies with us today, and you have. I can tell you now, you've incited an enormous amount of debate in the chat section. I've never seen it this busy. So thank you, Paul, and thank you all of you for being in touch, or for being involved rather, and for sharing your views. Now we're working on one more webinar, I think, for the summer. I'm not sure if we're going to run one in August yet, but we will let you know. We'll be communicating on all of that very soon. Certainly one in a couple of weeks' time. And I think, what else do I need to say? If you want to get hold of the slides, please get in touch directly with Paul. You can also rewatch today's webinar on this link, and it will be communicated to all of you straight after the webinar is finished. In the meantime, I hope that you feel inspired and excited by what you've seen today. There's an enormous amount there to go and think about and get your teeth into. So all of you, keep innovating and keep getting inspired. As you probably know, and if you don't, here we go. We also run every day on our Instagram feeds, both for the UK packaging team and for the Paris packaging show, so ADF and PCV and PLD here in Paris, and Packaging Innovations and Luxury Packaging in London. We have our daily inspiration through Instagram. And of course, we're still working towards our live events coming up in the autumn and in the new year. So please look out for news on those, and when the time comes, and when you'll be able to register for those. So for today, thank you very much. I hope you found that interesting and inspiring, and keep innovating, and see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye.